That name is branded onto his soul. She is no forgotten fragment.
She was his whole youth, but during his second year of cancer, his girlfriend of 10 years just completely vanished.
Now she is a massive superstar with a new celebrity lover, forgetting him and only him, having apparently fallen in love on set.
She fell for the fictional cancer patient, never realizing that the actual inspiration for the character
was him. Talk about the ultimate heartbreak. The movie character died, and our boy is fading fast on his way to her concert.
Traffic is absolutely insane, and he is getting so crushed in the crowd he almost faints from lack of oxygen.
He clutches his pentagram necklace, letting the metal dig into his palm to stay conscious through the pain.
Suddenly, the crowd erupts because superstar Gu Yuchen actually shows up, sending the shipping fans nearby into a total frenzy.
Gu Yuchen appears on the screen in a white suit, standing next to her.
Lin Qingya in a wedding gown blows the crowd away as he walks to her with a smile.
Watching them look like newlyweds makes his chest tighten. And then he proposes. He pulls out a sparkling diamond ring, and her cold face turns completely pink with happiness.
Looking at him with pure devotion, his soft voice echoes as he promises to propose once he made it big.
He declares that she is the only one he has ever loved. When he asks her to marry him, she tears up, covering her mouth in shock before finally answering.
She says yes, throwing herself into his arms as he lifts her up and spins her.
The stadium erupts, and a random girl grabs his arm in pure excitement. She gushes about how their movie was so touching, glad they got a happy ending, while our boy just stands there shattered.
How could she say yes? How could you do this so easily? He stumbles out of the crowd, running to a tree outside the stadium to throw up violently as a security guard approaches him with water.
The guard looks completely freaked out by his pale face, asking if he is all right.
He just cries, saying he's so heartbroken he feels like dying, so the guard stays.
Once he recovers, the guard jokingly asks if he is just some obsessive fan.
He warns him not to get too attached because celebrities will eventually marry anyway.
He tells him to move on, but our boy is just staring at his water, hands trembling. His hands shake uncontrollably despite the humid summer night, not knowing how to explain the truth. That he was actually her boyfriend of 7 years, the one who should be proposing.
He was the only man she loved. Honestly, seeing him so broken while she lives her best life is just painful.
But suddenly, he vomits again, and this time, the ground turns red. He coughs up bright, pure blood. By midnight, he stumbles back to the hospital, spotting a slender white figure waiting under the streetlights. It is his doctor, Li Shiya, standing with a wheelchair, looking pretty upset after waiting so long. She turns off her phone the second she spots him, marching over angrily. She angrily confronts Ye Feng, lecturing him for breaking his promise of returning. He can only stare back blankly, but as she gets closer, she stops. She asks why his eyes are red and if he was crying. This unleashes all his grief, and his voice cracks as he confesses he saw Lin Qingya. He whispers that she is getting married, leaving her completely stunned, since she is the only one who knows their tragic history. When she first went missing during his cancer battle, Li Shiya had scoffed at him for still caring about romance. She warned him he was abandoned, but he stubbornly defended her, believing in her. But Li Shiya just gave a cold, cynical smile, reminding him how brutal life actually is. She pointed out that in intensive care, even blood relatives turn on each other for money, let alone a boyfriend. He ignored her cynicism, silently taking his pills, earning an annoyed look. But the next morning, she got completely proven wrong when frantic knocking woke her. Standing there was Lin Qingya, covered in dirt and wearing an old shirt, looking like an actual beggar. She was wearing a construction vest, hair caked with mud, looking incredibly embarrassed as she peered into intensive care. She quietly told the nurse she had been working odd jobs to pay his bills. Lin Qingya pulls out a few crumpled bills, stammering to the doctor that she still has a little money left. She begs her to look after Ye Feng while she is gone, promising they won't fall behind on the bills. Li Shiya stays silent for a second.
She bluntly tells her to rest easy. He is her very first critical patient, and there is no way she is letting him die.
Later, Li Shiya spots Lin Qingya's name on the list for risky clinical trial volunteers. That is actually crazy, so she immediately rushes to the lab.
She finds Lin Qingya waiting in line to draw blood. Stopping her, the doctor yells that she already got Ye Feng help from the charity department. There is no need to sacrifice herself, but Lin Qingya looks up with teary eyes and pale lips, whispering that the factory keeps delaying her pay. She is terrified the money won't be enough. Li Shiya checks her bag only to find multiple trial forms, not just one. This girl has been selling her health for him repeatedly. The doctor drags her straight to Ye Feng's room, watching them break down in tears. She scolds them, asking who will take care of Ye Feng if she collapses too. Heartbroken, Ye Feng cups her face, gently wiping her tears away. He tries to erase her deep sadness. Working nonstop for 2 weeks straight has left her eyes bloodshot, yet she stares at him like he is her entire world. She whispers that she wishes she could be sick instead of him. For the first time, Ye Feng completely breaks down, his tears spilling over. He holds her face, promising her that he will get better. Eventually, Lin Qingya promises the doctor she won't ruin her health for quick cash. Still, she rushes off to work another odd job. Once she leaves, Li Shiya stands by the hospital bed. She stares at the peeled apples and chicken soup in silence. Honestly, Ye Feng is an incredibly picky eater, but her cooking is his absolute favorite. Ever since chemo killed his appetite, she has been terrified of him wasting away. So even after working past midnight, she makes sure he eats. She rushes to the hospital, borrows the cafeteria kitchen, and preps his meals for the next day. Sometimes she literally falls asleep standing up. It breaks his heart, and he begs her to just let him eat hospital food. But she looks at him, saying he never needs to worry about her. Seeing him okay is the only thing that gives her peace. Even the doctor has to admit that Lin Qingya is one of a kind. Ye Feng's throat is too tight to speak. Instead, he silently unlocks his phone to show the doctor today's viral trending topics. The top search is absolutely blowing up. The doctor clicks on the video, and a familiar, clear voice immediately rings out from the speaker. It is Lin Qingya, sounding gentle and happy as she tells her audience that everyone knows she suffered brain damage in the past. Because of that, she forgot her entire past. She explains how she felt like she was living in a dark abyss, completely lost. She was always searching for something, but meeting her new fiancé, Gu Yuchen, finally made her feel alive. Talk about a brutal plot twist. The doctor instantly shuts off the screen, taking a heavy breath. She suggests that maybe he just has the wrong person. She tells him to just pretend his old girlfriend died out there. Ye Feng knows she is just trying to protect him. But how could he ever forget her? She has a distinct scar on her palm from a factory machine and a mole on her neck. It is in the exact same spot as his. Plus, her intense, loving gaze is something he would recognize anywhere. Suddenly, his phone rings, drawing the doctor's attention. It is the screenwriter calling to check on him. He asks how Ye Feng is doing, sharing the amazing news that their movie actually won a major award. Now, the movie channel wants to film a documentary, and the lead actor, Gu Yuchen, really wants to meet Ye Feng tomorrow. The crew is visiting his ward, and they plan to donate all the documentary proceeds to help cover his medical bills. This screenwriter is actually a former patient here who suffered from severe mental health issues. Back then, they would sit in the garden together. Whenever Ye Feng broke down over losing his girlfriend, he would hide out there. He desperately needed someone to talk to, but he never expected the writer to take his tragic love story and run with it. He turned a tragic cancer patient's life into a beautiful movie. And get this, the female lead is none other than Lin Qingya. After her accident, she lost her memory and got scouted. Talk about a crazy twist of fate. Now, his heart is breaking. Meeting her again, alongside her new fiancé, is going to absolutely destroy him. The screenwriter keeps talking, trying to convince him. Honestly, Ye Feng is too numb to process a single word. But in the end, he quietly agrees and hangs up. As orphans, they were inseparable, never spending 3 days apart. But it has been 3 long years since she vanished. He misses her so much it hurts. The next morning, he waits by the window, staring outside for hours. Finally, a huge crowd of media and staff enters the hospital. Panic sets in, and he anxiously asks the doctor if he looks okay. He feels self-conscious, but she has his back. Last night, she bought him a knit hat with built-in hair. She even got him some subtle makeup and had the nurses prep his skin. This morning, she brought a beautiful bouquet.
Fresh jasmine flowers now sit by his bed. When he asks why, she just shrugs it off, looking a bit flustered. Staring at his reflection, seeing color return to his face for the first time in months, his eyes well up with tears.
Shiya stares at him, gently fixing his wig as she softly reassures him that he looks great and has nothing to fear. As Shiya finishes speaking, with her hand still near his cheek, the door suddenly flies open, making him scramble back onto the bed in sheer panic.
A huge crowd floods inside, suffocating him so much he can barely breathe, but Shiya quickly reacts, helping him sit back securely. She gently pats his back until he recovers, only for him to notice the camera's red recording light is already on as screenwriter Han Xiao starts speaking. Han Xiao thinks Ye Feng and Dr. Shiya look exactly like they used to, which honestly makes the poor guy look past him.
Standing there, Lin Qingya and Gu Yuchen stand shoulder to shoulder, radiating couples energy without even touching.
They carry this exclusive vibe. Gu Yuchen smiles warmly as he steps toward the bed. He greets Ye Feng, saying he has been dying to meet him, and honestly, this guy is way better looking in person. Even in a basic white tee and jeans, he looks incredibly bright and handsome, a total contrast to our sick main character. Ye Feng feels so inferior, he can't even look up. If Yuchen is a bright, blooming sunflower, then after years of battling illness,
The poor guy is just dirt beneath his feet, but then Yuchen just casually throws an arm around his shoulder like an old friend.
he asks if he watched their movie, and Ye Feng just keeps his eyes down, whispering that he watched it many times. Yuchen brags about fasting and studying patience for weeks to play the role, then smiles at the thin wrists sticking out of Ye Feng's sleeve. He jokes about envying his naturally skinny body, leaving Ye Feng deeply hurt as he quickly hides his skeletal hand under the blanket. He just cannot bear to let his former love see him looking like a literal corpse. Seeing this, Lin Qingya walks over. She introduces herself, handing him a protective charm she and Yuchen bought together, wishing him a fast recovery so he can attend their wedding. Her voice is incredibly soft and gentle, as if she is terrified of stressing him out. But this gentle tone is low-key heartbreaking. It is like a dull knife slowly tearing through him. He almost blurts out their past. But the words just die in his throat as Lin Qingya pulls out a perfectly preserved, unwrinkled amulet from her pocket. Seeing this, the screenwriter chimes in to say that after hearing his story, Qingya donated her entire movie salary to the hospital. Back then, she was flat broke, fighting a massive lawsuit with her ex-agency and literally owed millions of dollars. Everyone tried to stop her, telling her to focus on surviving first, but she insisted, admitting that reading his tragic script broke her heart so much it fueled her incredible performance. This girl is seriously an angel, and it makes Ye Feng ache. She is just too good, too kind to everyone, which makes it even harder for him to let her go like this. Qingya does not deny it. She looks at him and says he is the one who made her success possible. He stays silent, slowly taking the amulet from her hand and placing it on his bedside table with trembling hands. Seeing her look at him with deep pity, he realizes he is shaking uncontrollably. Then, Yuchen suddenly asks about his wedding with Shiya. Wait, what? Before Ye Feng can even process this confusion, Yuchen happily explains how moved he was by the script. He took the role because he is incredibly jealous of Ye Feng and Shia's loyalty, wanting a love just like that. He admits he wanted someone who would stick by him through thick and thin, thinking he would never find someone that perfect. But thanks to Ye Feng's life story, he found Lin Qingya. Talk about a cruel plot twist for our poor protagonist. Yuchen even hands him a signed couple photo because he heard Ye Feng is her fan. This is honestly agonizing to watch. In the photo, Qingya is making a goofy face while Yuchen gazes at her with absolute adoration. He leans in to kiss her cheek, and looking at this, Ye Feng completely blocks out his voice as a loud ringing fills his ears. Shiya senses the danger, immediately pushing through the crowd to grab his wrist before coldly cutting in, saying she hasn't watched their film. She tells them she does not care about their artistic acting and demands they leave his real life alone so he can rest. Dr. Shiya is an absolute queen for protecting him here, turning to the production crew to ask if they are done yet. The crew looks stunned, and the host quickly starts asking standard questions, while Qingya sits nearby staring deeply at him. She seems deeply lost in thought, and as things wrap up, the host asks if he has any final wishes.
He gets the courage to look at her surprised face, whispering that he just wants to talk to her, so Shiya clears the room. Only the cameraman, Qingya, and Yuchen remain, and Ye Feng can only stare at their tightly locked hands.
Struggling to even breathe, he asks her how she managed to survive during her period of amnesia. Qingya sits up, explaining she woke up in a hospital and the first person she saw was her manager, Kan.
He paid her bills, found her a place, and helped her get a new ID. But her mind was a total blank slate.
So she signed her contract in a daze, driven by this weird, desperate urge to make money.
Ye Feng was incredibly unlucky back then, filming like crazy and ruining his eyes just to make 3,000 yuan a month. He only found out his company trapped him in a 10-year contract with a 20 million penalty. Lin Qingya bitters laugh, squeezing his heart. It felt like a total nightmare. What does 10 billion actually feel like?
For her, it was like having no past at all. Everything was unfamiliar, except for occasional dreams.
She would dream of hospital rooms and someone constantly calling her name. Hearing this made Ye Feng's heart race. He wanted to shout that he was the one she was looking for, but Gu Yuchen glared right at him.
The guy instantly cuts him off. Ye Feng, you're a fan of Qingya, right? You must be happy for her success. Ye Feng freezes and just nods. Lin Qingya completely misses how panicked and devastated he looks.
She is lost in her memories until Gu Yuchen pulls her into a hug. Honestly, this dude is so fake. She explains how her director helped her sue her old company, beat the contract, and find her real parents. Meeting Gu Yuchen made her life perfect. Then she turns to Ye Feng, wanting to hear his story. She asks if he and Doctor Li Shiya are dating. Ye Feng just stares back, speechless.
His throat is completely tight. How could he possibly tell her the truth? He claims his story is boring.
He tells her there was just someone who loved him deeply, and he loved her back. But then she vanished. Lin Qingya frowns and asks why he did not try to look for her.
He explains they were both orphans. Their old orphanage shut down and the director moved away. No one else remembers her. Since they were just dating, police wouldn't even let him file a report.
The police just pitied him and told him he'd find someone better. He just bows his head.
Honestly, this is low-key heartbreaking. He knows there will never be anyone better than her in this world. The cameraman asks for her name to help search, but Ye Feng stays silent, holding back his urge. The truth is stuck in his throat like a sharp thorn, especially while watching Gu Yuchen hold her waist. She looks genuinely happy, and that kills him. Gu Yuchen cuts in, saying they should just forget the past. He promises to make her happy forever, then turns to Ye Feng, hoping he gets well soon. He offers his assistant's help and smugly smiles, announcing that they are getting married soon. He actually asks Ye Feng to bless their marriage. Bro, talk about final boss-level cruelty right here. Ye Feng swallows his agony under Lin Qingya's gaze, slowly choking out his congratulations to them. Fighting back the pure suffocation in his chest, he forces the words out. He wishes her peace and joy, but he cannot bring himself to bless her with another man. Once they leave, he tastes blood in his mouth. He bit his tongue so hard just to keep quiet.
Dr. Li Shiya enters, looking at him with deep sadness, asking why he did not just tell her.
Ye Feng buries his face, saying he would only drag her down. She deserves her bright future. After that, he spends day and night watching her shows, and his health rapidly gets worse.
Dr. Li Shiya has to confiscate his phone at 10 p.m., but he still cannot sleep.
She constantly consults senior doctors about his case, while the nurses look at him with pity. A nurse leaves some cherries by his bed. When he asks Li Shiya what is happening, she just calmly lies that everything is fine, but things are clearly getting worse.
Her office lights stay on all night. He secretly finds medical notes she tried to hide, and he is terrified.
At first, he was terrified of dying so young with so many regrets left.
But now, peace seems like the best escape. A month later, the interview finally airs on television. Suddenly, Ye Feng starts trending online, with everyone talking about his heartbreaking story.
An influencer edited his interview into a tragic biography, and it goes completely viral.
People praise Lin Qingya's acting, saying his gaze towards her was incredibly raw and emotional. They think he was looking at her while remembering his lost love. Even though he was so careful, netizens managed to track down his actual hospital. Someone even claims they saw a girl guarding his room. This level of drama is insane.
He is terrified of Lin Qingya finding out the truth because she would drown in guilt forever. Since he is terminal anyway, he refuses to drag her down and ruin the rest of her life.
So our boy actually makes an anonymous account to comment on the movie page, begging everyone to stop hunting for the mystery guy. He literally posts that he doesn't care anymore, pleading with people to stop wasting public resources on his story.
But of course, his selflessness only makes netizens pity him even more, and soon some blurry photos leak online.
It is a blurry shot of him in the hospital hallway. A night shift nurse even writes a heartbreaking post on her alt account about seeing people heartlessly abandon their sick partners. She talks about partners leaving without looking back, but also seeing a devoted girl staying by her boyfriend's bedside all night. The nurse admits she always cries for sincere love. Soon, sharp-eyed netizens realize that blurry silhouette in the photo looks oddly familiar. They start comparing outlines, digging up details, and eventually find a match in the promotional stills of her movie, Stranger Love. It is a photo of Lin Qingya in a hospital corridor, and the outline of her young face is a dead ringer for the girl in the leak. The nurse quickly deletes her account to escape the online drama. Meanwhile, our boy goes behind Doctor Li Shiya's back to ask the chief of medicine to let him leave. He wants to travel and clear his head. The kindly, white-haired chief looks at him and mentions that Dr. Li Shiya is determined to save him. She even put off her advanced studies in Germany for him, being the chief's absolute best student. The chief says he normally wouldn't let a patient run around when his doctor is trying this hard, but maybe a trip will help. With that, our boy packs an empty suitcase, throws away his phone's SIM card, and heads to the train station to go to the ocean. But halfway there, a luxury car blocks his path. The man inside is wearing huge sunglasses, hiding almost his entire face.
But our boy recognizes him instantly. It is Gu Yuchen. Gu Yuchen's assistant invites him inside, but he just stands there, frozen.
Gu Yuchen smirks. It's a smile, but it lacks all of his usual bright celebrity warmth, feeling cold and distant instead. He says he knows Lin Qingya is his girlfriend and asks to talk. Our boy hesitates for a second, then slowly gets in. They drive an hour out to the suburbs before Gu Yuchen turns around. The assistant and driver step out, leaving the two men completely alone. He sizes our boy up through his dark shades and slowly reveals he actually heard his name a long time ago, back when the movie wrapped.
Apparently, Lin Qingya got completely wasted, passed out on Gu Yuchen's lap, and kept holding his hand while murmuring our boy's name.
Gu Yuchen says he eventually connected the dots, but he kept desperately hoping it was all just a massive coincidence. He hoped it was just some random guy with the same name, but the second they met, Gu Yuchen knew the truth. He admits he was terrified our boy would spill the truth. He knows Lin Qingya would break if she realized she forgot her old love to be with him. Gu Yuchen removes his glasses, revealing dark, exhausted circles under his eyes. This whole situation is clearly eating him alive. He explains that when he first met Lin Qingya, she was plagued by severe insomnia and barely spoke, only smiling when they discussed music. He confesses he doesn't understand music or her world, but he was willing to do absolutely anything to get close to her. He knows she only fell for him because he played our MC's role in the film, but his feelings for her were never just some celebrity show. He has never been this serious about anyone. He raises his voice, getting super emotional, claiming his love for Lin Qingya is not any less than what our boy feels. Gu Yuchen is getting hysterical, and his desperate words slice right through our boy. He just stares silently, feeling a splitting headache rising from the sheer stress. Our MC actually used to lurk on their couple's fan page, where one highly upvoted post detailed their entire romance. The fan wrote beautifully about Gu Yuchen's absolute devotion. Back when they first met, Lin Qingya was just an unknown rookie. Gu Yuchen was already a massive peak popularity idol, yet he risked his entire career and went public with their relationship anyway. He even paid off her massive contract termination fees, getting dragged online for months as some brainless romantic. But then, Lin Qingya skyrocketed to superstardom with her viral music, eclipsing his fame completely, yet they never drifted apart. Her public concert proposal was her ultimate promise to him. They gave each other total peace of mind in a toxic industry. They proved true love exists in the messy entertainment world. The blogger ended by saying if these two break up, love is dead. Honestly, reading that is low-key heartbreaking for our boy.
Gu Yuchen's sacrifice makes his own past with Lin Qingya feel so small. If he ruins this, he will feel like a total villain.
Our boy even wonders if the universe caused that crash and took her memories just to free her from being dragged down by him.
Maybe she was meant to forget her dying ex so she could find someone better. The two guys just sit there in heavy silence.
Gu Yuchen slips his dark glasses back on to hide his watering eyes. He quietly says he already paid to bury the online rumors. He explains that Lin Qingya is busy rehearsing on set, totally oblivious, but if our MC wants to tell her, he won't stop him.
He admits he cannot stop him legally, and he knows our MC still loves her just from the look in his eyes.
Gu Yuchen begs our MC, saying he will apologize or even kneel, doing whatever it takes if he truly wants her to have a good life.
He tells the MC to bury the past deep down. Honestly, the guy is right, because even if our MC exposes his identity
and tells Lin Qingya that he is her actual boyfriend, what change would it bring? The public would only side with Gu Yuchen. Gu Yuchen's love seems so noble, making our MC look like a rat in the gutter. He was the one who saved her from the dark. Everyone saw him do it, while the MC would only drag Lin Qingya down and ruin her career. She is just too kind and gentle. Knowing the truth would only tear her apart between them. After a long silence, Gu Yuchen mentions hearing the MC wants to travel. He places a signed blank check on the MC's lap, admitting he rarely travels and has no recommendations.
He tells the MC to treat it as a gift, hoping he will return to get treated properly without worrying about medical bills.
Gu Yuchen offers the best doctors, but our MC cuts him off, telling him there is no need for guilt or compensation. The rival's breath hitches, probably realizing it is completely hopeless. The MC just leans back wearily, exhausted. Closing his eyes, he feels completely drained and just wants to sleep. Gu Yuchen keeps placing fingers near his nose. Terrified that the MC has died, feeling a weak breath, he sighs in relief. Finally, the MC asks for one last drive. He has one place he must visit. As the car rolls into the village, a golden sunset paints the distant mountains.
Seeing the MC walk off, Gu Yuchen hesitates but wants to follow. Our MC just turns back with a gentle smile, telling him not to worry.
He is not going to end his life. Pointing at a tiny red-roofed house on the hill, he explains, "That is the orphanage where he and Lin Qingya grew up. It is the only memory left, and he is the only one who still remembers." He begs him not to disturb him anymore. Gu Yuchen freezes, looking away as he whispers a soft, sorrowful apology. The MC ignores him, struggling up the muddy mountain trail left by last night's rain, each step draining his remaining energy. Honestly, he used to have great stamina back then, while Lin Qingya was always the delicate, fragile one. Back when school was at the bottom and the orphanage was at the top, they had to trek up and down every day.
Coming back late at night, Lin Qingya would always act spoiled halfway up and beg him to carry her, and he would smile and crouch down.
Year after year, he carried her up. He thought his current ruined body would collapse in seconds on this climb. But sheer will carries him to the top on his hands and knees. The abandoned orphanage lock easily snaps under pressure.
Stepping inside, he walks down the hallway straight to the attic, finding his childhood drawing still pasted in the corner.
The drawing shows a big house with 2 stick figures. The director once told him he arrived here as a baby, covered in burns. Years of painful herbal treatments finally faded the scars by middle school, but by then, he was already past the adoption age. But Lin Qingya always hid on adoption days just to stay with him, even though she would cry alone in the attic when their friends left, wondering why they were the only ones without parents.
He would always find her, pinky promising that he would make tons of money one day.
And buy a massive house to give them a real home. Touching the drawing, he slowly crouches down as
tears wash away the dust. Their first home was just a tiny, cozy 30-square-meter rental. Every day after work, he would smell her cooking and see her waiting. They knew each other for 20 years, fighting for their future together.
Saving every single penny, when they hit their first goal, he used late-night delivery cash to buy a diamond ring. In that cramped room under the moonlight, he proposed, promising her they would buy their own home soon. He begged her to wait just 1 more year so he could marry her. She stared at the cheap ring, and even though
The diamond was microscopic. It shone brighter than anything. She choked up, her face turning completely red.
She nodded instantly as tears streamed down her face, a moment he vowed to remember until the day he died.
At this point, he thought 25 years of suffering was finally ending. But then, boom, he gets laid off.
Packing his things, he collapses and gets a cancer diagnosis. It wasn't terminal yet, but the medical bills were crushing.
To care for him, Lin Qingya quit her dream music job, working 3 exhausting part-time shifts a day.
He suddenly remembers a night long ago holding her in his arms, as she jokingly mentioned that a music producer scouted her, but she turned it down, claiming she hated the entertainment industry. But seeing her shine on stage now, he finally realizes that her smile back then was actually filled with regret and forced sacrifice. Bro, he had been dragging her down from the very beginning. At least she now has her wealthy birth parents, a handsome young lover, and a bright future ahead. Lin Qingya secured her bright future with a massive fan base, finally getting her life back on track.
Their paths were never meant to cross. Seeing him cry over that crumpled flower is low-key heartbreaking.
He wandered until dawn before heading back to the city, only to find Li Shiya still waiting outside the hospital. Under the dim streetlights, Li Shiya was still wearing that exact same white shirt from 2 days ago. With rolled-up sleeves and messy hair covering her delicate eyes, she looked incredibly exhausted and out of place.
Normally, this wealthy neat freak would never wear the same outfit twice, yet here she was, waiting in hesitation.
In a soft voice, she asked why he was back so soon, instead of clearing his head.
You left your phone, and someone called. Hearing this, Ye Feng immediately checked the unsaved number. It was an anonymous text from Lin Qingya, apologizing for the sudden and unexpected message. She wanted to help him find his lost love, admitting that Road of Strangers' love meant everything to her. Since she was still relatively new to acting, she hoped they could both find real-life happiness.
She left her private number, inviting him to call whenever he was ready.
This private number was completely new, different from the matching couple numbers they once shared. She probably lost her ID in the car accident. He still remembered their old couple numbers perfectly. Even though it was just plain text on a screen, he could still hear her gentle, hesitant voice in his head. With tearing eyes, he immediately dialed back, but nobody picked up. Honestly, the sheer tension in this scene is crazy. Shaking her head, Li Shiya grabbed his wrist and pulled him back to the ward. She was talking way more than usual, explaining that an American medical team had found a cure.
She and her mentor were visiting them next week to learn the treatment, promising to heal him soon. Once he recovered, she could finally relax. But her cheerful voice quickly started fading as his vision began to blur under the flickering corridor lights. He wanted to force a smile to match her joy, but last night had drained all his energy.
Suddenly, her voice went completely silent. She stopped and turned back to him with absolute panic and terror filling her eyes.
Blood was gushing from his nose. Bro, the pacing in this show just went from 0 to 100 real quick.
The medical staff rushed him into the emergency room at lightning speed. Gripping his hand tightly, she screamed at him to stay awake.
Completely exhausted from his night on the mountain, Ye Feng looked up and asked if he was about to die.
As she blocked out the rising morning sun, her face became a complete blur to his failing eyes. Her eyes were completely bloodshot. The usually calm and collected doctor actually snapped, cursing at him to shut up. He had never seen her lose control like this. She had always cared for him deeply.
She was too good to him, and no shot she is just doing her job. She is definitely caught in her feelings. But their status gap was just too wide, so he assumed she simply pitied him. Drifting away, his body felt completely spent. Even blinking was a massive chore now. Through the heavy haze, he could hear her desperate voice and a phone ringing. And then, complete silence. Meanwhile, Lin Qingya had just finished her frustrating overnight shoot as dawn broke.
Checking her missed calls, she immediately noticed Ye Feng's number right next to Gu Yuchen's and called back without thinking.
No one answered. Ever since their interview, she could not get his pale, fragile face out of her head.
Even when she looked at her fiancé, Gu Yuchen, her thoughts kept drifting back to that quiet, jasmine-scented hospital room. It turns out she was still deeply affected by the tragic romance movie they'd filmed together. She had cried so much reading the script and desperately wanted to help Ye Feng move on. She truly believed that helping him find peace was the only way she could finally move forward with her life.
When her call failed, she messaged Gu Yuchen, who called her back immediately with a raspy voice. Sounding completely exhausted, he asked if she finished shooting and when her heavy schedule would finally clear up. After a long, heavy silence, Gu Yuchen's shaky breathing was the only sound coming through the line. With a trembling voice, he asked if she accepted his proposal out of actual love or if it was something else. Was she just too deep in her movie character, feeling obligated to marry him just to repay his past help? Stunned, she asked why they would be together otherwise, but he pushed further, demanding to know the truth. Did she love him or just the movie character? Lin Qingya had no answer, and that is a wild plot twist. How should she even answer that? In the end, Lin Qingya goes with the simplest 3 words: I love you, making Gu Yuchen smile through his tears as they chat a bit more before hanging up. After hanging up, Lin Qingya leans back and looks at the photo she always carries on her nightstand. It is Gu Yuchen in his costume for their drama Love Strangers, where he literally lost 10 pounds for the role. Wearing a baggy, oversized hospital gown on the bed, he looked so incredibly fragile, almost as if he would shatter at any second. Just then, the director called a cut, and Gu Yuchen turned around to look right at her. That exact raw moment was captured forever in that photo. Talk about intense. Their very first scene was the male lead being rushed into surgery, facing life and death. Lin Qingya had to hold this guy she barely knew and just sob her eyes out. She was completely inconsolable, until the director yelled cut and came over to comfort her. But ever since that day, whenever she looked at Gu Yuchen, her heart would react in a strange way. It was this deep, anxious pull, like she was terrified he would vanish at any moment. Honestly, even after filming wrapped, she could not get him out of her head. Now, looking back at the photo, she gently traces his face in the photo, feeling incredibly guilty. Ever since she got busy with her new shoot, Gu Yuchen had been acting super insecure and needy, constantly craving her attention. She makes a mental note to make it up to him once she wraps this project. Later, Lin Qingya turns off the lights, tossing and turning in bed despite being completely exhausted. But sleep just will not come. Her mind is on high alert, totally wound up. That is when she remembers a sleep app she used years ago during her darkest days of anxiety and depression. So she re-downloads it, looking for some soothing white noise. But as she is scrolling, she accidentally clicks on the app's old sleep diary recordings. And oh my god, there is a recording from 3 years ago. When she plays it, her own sobbing, broken voice fills the room, desperately calling for Ye Feng. She was begging him to wait, promising she would make money soon so they could finally cure his illness. The phone slips from her hands and hits the carpet with a dull thud. But Lin Qingya does not even register it. Her entire world has shrunk down to that desperate, stubborn voice. It is her past self, calling out Ye Feng over and over. Every single word feels like a burning needle piercing her skull. It is not just some blurry fragments of memory anymore. It is an absolute tidal wave, rushing back with unstoppable force. Every single year she forgot, and every ounce of love and agonizing pain carved into her very bones completely shatters her mental dam. She remembers the icy beds in the orphanage, the warmth of Ye Feng carrying her up the mountain on his back, and the cheap rental room. She remembers that tiny diamond ring under the dim yellow light of their apartment, and Ye Feng curling up in agony on his hospital bed, but still smiling just for her. She remembers dozing off in the kitchen while chicken soup bubbled in the pot, and the absolute heart-wrenching terror of watching him grow weaker day by day. The pure despair of fighting with everything she had, yet never being able to outrun death. Suddenly, a shattered sob escapes her throat. Lin Qingya collapses onto the carpet, her knees completely giving out. Her heart feels like it is being squeezed and crushed by a freezing, merciless hand, causing her to double over. The excruciating pain makes her curl up into a ball. Her tears do not just fall, they explode out of her in a hysterical, agonizing wail. She screams as if trying to force her misplaced soul back into her body, crying out Ye Feng over and over. Her voice is completely wrecked from screaming his name. She finally remembers that pale, emaciated figure in the hospital ward, and the way he used to look at her.
Those eyes were filled with a heavy, suffocating sadness she did not understand at the time. Bro, that was never the look of a fan. It was the farewell gaze of her true lover. She was the one who lost him, completely forgetting him right when he needed her the most. The crushing guilt and the agonizing shock of remembering almost tear her apart. She instantly recalls how Ye Feng ran out of the crowd when Gu Yuchen proposed to her.
She remembers his trembling hands when he took the safety amulet from her, and the raw, suffocating pain in his voice when he asked what amnesia felt like. That agony belonged to Ye Feng, not a fan. Genuinely, every single meeting they had after her memory loss was just slow torture for him.
Her phone screen glows stubbornly in the dark, showing the finished recording. With shaking hands, Lin Qingya literally crawls over to pick it up, seeing her own hot tears smudging the glass.
Staring at the recording like it is her only lifeline to the past, she goes completely frantic, searching for that missed call from this morning and dialing it back immediately. This time, it actually rings. After an agonizingly long wait, a calm, incredibly exhausted female voice finally answers the call.
Hello? Lin Qingya is sobbing so hard she can barely get the words out, introducing herself as she begs Dr. Li for answers.
Where is Ye Feng? How is he doing? She demands to see him right this second, every single word laced with absolute panic.
The line goes dead silent for a few agonizing seconds. When Dr. Li Shiya finally speaks, her voice is incredibly tense and strained. She calls her Miss Lin, sighs, and then her tone suddenly shifts to pure urgency as she reveals he is in the intensive care unit.
He is in critical condition with multiple organ failure and has slipped into a coma. Lin Qingya tells her she is coming right now, pushing through a wave of dizziness to stay.
She runs God knows how many red lights, literally sprinting into the hospital where Li Shiya is waiting by the elevator. The doctor looks utterly exhausted, with dark circles and a wrinkled lab coat. Lin Qingya grabs her arm with insane force, demanding to know how he is, desperate for any good news. Looking at her bloodshot eyes and tear-stained face, the doctor's expression is a mix of shock and understanding, ending in pure worry. He is still in a coma from severe brain oxygen deprivation. His brain was deprived of oxygen for too long, and his body is just too weak. But then she drops a bombshell. Gu Yuchen actually contacted a research team in America. He used his father's high-level connections to reach them. Once they saw Ye Feng's medical history, they became super interested. They think his case fits the research parameters, and the experts are already on a plane. Gu Yuchen did all this. Lin Qingya is completely stunned, her heart aching even more. Gu Yuchen knew all along. She asks if Ye Feng is inside, and Li Shiya points the way. The doctor tells her to go through the heavy isolation doors and talk because a familiar voice might help. He looks at Lin Qingya with a desperate, all-or-nothing plea in his eyes, begging her to call out to him. Using their most familiar terms and beg him not to give up, she takes a deep breath, nods hard, sanitizes, and puts on sterile gear. Every single step feels incredibly heavy as she finally pushes the door open. The sharp smell of disinfectant and the beeping of medical monitors hit her instantly. On the bed, he is covered in tubes, his face so pale and lifeless it looks like a sheet of paper. His chest rises and falls so weakly it is almost invisible. Only the jumping lines on the heart monitor prove his life is still stubbornly clinging on. Her tears instantly spill over again. This is her Ye Feng, the same boy who used to carry her on his back for miles on mountain paths without ever complaining. The man who clumsily but so earnestly slipped a ring onto her finger under the moonlight of their cheap rental, promising her a future. She quietly steps over to the bed.
She presses his hand against her own. Tear-stained cheek, leaning down close to his ear, gathering every bit of her gentleness and strength, she softly calls out his name. Ye Feng, just like she did countless times in the past. Her voice
is choked with tears, but carries a timeless familiarity. Ye Feng, it is me, Qingya. I am back. Oh, honestly, this is low-key heartbreaking. Meanwhile, a chaotic and boundless void surrounds Ye Feng. He has no idea what is happening on the outside, his consciousness completely lost in an endless, freezing, pitch-black darkness, like a stone slowly sinking to the bottom. A bone-deep exhaustion pulls at him from all sides, tempting him to just give up the struggle and sink into eternal nothingness. He thinks that maybe ending things like this is actually for the best. Qingya has a good life now, and Gu Yuchen can give her everything he no longer can. But right on the very edge of giving up, a tiny yet sharp glint of light pierces through the heavy curtain of darkness. It is not something he actually sees, but rather a feeling. It is like those late nights in the orphanage long ago when the power went out, and Qingya would shake with pure fear.
Clinging to his shirt with her tiny hand, tearfully humming an out-of-tune lullaby. It was that warm, comforting reliance that cut through all the fear. And then a real voice breaks through the endless barriers,
carrying a deep familiarity that makes his entire soul tremble with shock. It strikes directly into the very depths of his fading consciousness, calling out, Ye Feng. Who is that? He knows this voice better than anyone. It is the voice of the girl who is engraved into his very life. Ye Feng, it is me, Qingya. I am back. It is Qingya. He hears her calling his name, telling him she is back and that she finally remembers. This massive shock shoots through his chaotic mind like a huge surge of electricity. She remembers. All those precious memories he had buried deep in his heart, memories he treasured but found so painfully heartbreaking, she recalls them all. Suddenly, an unprecedented will to live surges right into. He needs to answer her. He needs to open his eyes and see her. But his body is incredibly heavy, as if filled with lead, unable to move even a single inch. His consciousness is trapped in a dark swamp where the harder he struggles, the faster he sinks. Meanwhile, Qingya's heartbroken sobbing is right by his ear, broken and filled with endless, regretful agony. It is all my fault, she weeps. I am the idiot who forgot you, Ye Feng. I am so sorry. All those muddy roads they walked together, the tiny diamond ring shining under the dim lamplight, and her desperate prayers outside the intensive care unit. Voice recordings of those prayers flood back into his mind like shattered glass. He realizes she remembers everything. Ye Feng, wake up, she cries. I will not let you leave me. Can you hear me? Her absolute despair and desperate demands lash against his numb nerves like a painful whip. Pain, sharp and terrifyingly real, shoots through his entire body. This is no longer a silent, empty void. His body is finally sending signals. His heart beats heavily inside his chest, and his lungs are begging for fresh air. He absolutely has to wake up, right now. Just then, another voice joins the room, low, quiet, and heavy, filled with a heartbreaking restraint and deep struggle. Qingya, please do not do this. It is Gu Yuchen, and honestly, he is built different at this point, refusing to pull her away. By force. Yet his tightly clenched fists are completely white, and veins pop on the back of his hands, betraying the tearing agony that is ripping him apart inside. His handsome face has lost all of its color, his lips pressed into a thin, pale line. His eyes are a stormy sea of resentment, despairing pain, and an overwhelming sense of helplessness. That gaze of his is locked tightly onto Qingya's trembling back, as if trying to carve her outline into his very soul. His bones silently demanding to know why fate has to be so cruel. I remember everything now, Yuchen, Qingya says as she looks up. Her eyes are watery, but her gaze is incredibly sharp. Every single word hits Gu Yuchen like a heavy hammer. He is Ye Feng. He is my Ye Feng. The lover I loved for 10 years, who waited 10 years for me, and yet I lost him. Before you ever appeared, my entire life was him. The person blurry shadow in my dreams was him. The feeling I desperately tried to grasp in my subconscious was him. Every heartbreak I felt on stage was all because of him. Gu Yuchen's body staggers violently back, as if struck by an invisible sledgehammer. The very last spark of light in his eyes completely dies out, replaced by a deep, shattering, and hopeless despair. He tightly shuts his eyes, his jaw clenching hard. He is desperately fighting the massive wave of emotions that threatens to break through, trying to suppress his natural instinct to just steal her back at all costs. For what feels like an absolute eternity, time itself seems completely frozen in place as they stand there in silence. Slowly and painfully, Gu Yuchen relaxes his tightly clenched fists. He takes a deep, ragged breath, a sound so heavy it feels like he is carrying a mountain on his back. Pushing his eyes open, he looks at the bed with a solemn, tragic gaze, staring down at Ye Feng. There is immense pain, bitterness, and deep sorrow in that look. Talk about an absolute tearjerker. Settling into a pure, heavy acceptance. Turning toward Li Shiya, his voice is raspy but filled with a desperate, absolute resolve as he yells out to the doctor. No matter what resources are needed or connections we must use, please do absolutely whatever it takes to save him. Gu Yuchen screams that he will cover all the costs immediately, looking completely drained as he stumbles backward. He collapses against the cold wall with his eyes shut, radiating this massive sense of defeat. It is pure silent grief because he knows he is officially letting go of this love. But Gu Yuchen's desperate cry to save him suddenly crashes into Ye Feng's fading consciousness. Suddenly, the warmth of her hand and the humming machines bring him back to reality. He refuses to die, fighting the heavy darkness for both Qingya and Yuchen's sake. Slowly forcing his eyes open, blinding white light floods in, his throat feeling completely dry. Using every ounce of strength left, he manages to whisper a single name. Lin Qingya. Hearing it, she gasps and looks up through her tears to meet his gaze. His eyes are heavily exhausted from the brutal illness, yet they look so incredibly familiar. As he focuses entirely on her, time literally stands still for them both. Fast forward a bit, and warm sunlight is streaming into the room, replacing the dread. The scent of fresh jasmine fills the air as white flowers sway gently on the windowsill. The hospital room is quiet, only the sound of book pages turning as Ye Feng rests. The terrifying shadow of death is finally gone, replaced by a deep, long-awaited peace. Holding his calendar, he feels a sense of grounded stability when the door gently creaks open. Qingya walks in wearing a simple white dress, hair loosely tied back, smiling so warmly. She looks like a literal painting as she walks over, teasing him about studying too hard. She leans down to plant a sweet, jasmine-scented kiss, reminding him to balance rest and work. He puts the book down and takes her hand, gently rubbing the familiar scar on her palm. He jokes that lying in bed all day makes him lazy, so he must read. Playfully, he says he needs to study up to keep pace with the great musician. Qingya blushes and rolls her eyes before opening the thermos, filling the room with rich aroma. She spent all morning making this chicken soup, promising it is perfect before feeding him. He sips it while keeping his eyes locked on her face, thanking her as warmth spreads. At this point, there is a knock, and Doctor Li Shiya walks in looking relieved. She hands over the latest medical files, announcing his full body scan results are finally ready. Every single key indicator is completely normal, and the tumor markers remain negative. He is officially cured. Hearing this, Qingya literally breaks down in tears of pure joy. She squeezes his hand in absolute ecstasy, while Ye Feng stares at the report in disbelief. The massive weight of a terminal illness that crushed them for years has finally vanished. Taking a long, deep breath, he looks at Dr. Li with nothing but pure gratitude. He thanks her, but then another name comes to mind, bringing a wave of complicated emotions. The room goes quiet. After the surgery succeeded, Gu Yuchen had met up with Qingya. He confessed his past jealousy and fear, but ultimately chose to let go completely. The guy actually kept his word, securing the top-tier American medical team for him. He even anonymously paid for a massive portion of those astronomical costs before leaving. He went overseas to study film production, leaving behind a heavy but beautiful sacrifice. It was his final, proud act. Dr. Li smiles, patting his shoulder to comfort him. She tells him to enjoy his brand new life, looking warmly at the couple. She tells Qingya to take good care of him because he is a true warrior. Tears of pure relief. After the doctor leaves, the warm room becomes peaceful once again. Only the two of them remain in the room with the sweet scent of jasmine. The sunlight catches her tears, and honestly, the author cooked with this beautiful ending. A wave of warmth and emotion surges inside him. He gets this overwhelming urge to hold on to her forever, gently grabbing her hand to make her stop. Qingya looks up in confusion, her clear eyes reflecting only him as his gaze turns soft.
It feels like stepping back into their tiny 30-square-meter apartment filled with pure love.
He carefully searches beneath the pillow while her heart begins to race under his look. Finally,
he pulls out a faded blue velvet box. It is worn and frayed, bearing years of history.
Taking a deep breath, he slowly opens it. Inside is not a flashy diamond, but their original ring.
The tiny, simple gem has been polished so carefully, catching the light beautifully. It holds their entire journey, every single struggle, their deep love, and their unbreakable promise. Seeing her eyes well up with tears, his voice trembles slightly, but remains incredibly steady. He looks at her. "Qingya, remember that tiny rented room under the moonlight when I promised you? I promised to marry you once I made it." He pauses, looking from the ring straight into her eyes.
He admits he used to think success meant status and wealth, thinking only those made him worthy.
But after surviving absolute death, he realized his greatest achievement is not material things. He gently picks up the ring. Honestly, this emotional payoff hits so different. His true success is simply being alive and standing healthy beside her. He is finally ready to place it back on her finger, asking her clearly, "Qingya, will you marry me?" Her tears burst out instantly, but her deep love is clearer than ever. The sheer joy of having him back washes over her. Without a single second of hesitation, she nods her head through her tears. "Yes, Ye Feng, I am absolutely willing. I have always been willing, and no storm will ever tear us apart again." He holds her cool hand tightly, feeling the ring in his palm. Future challenges might come, but holding each other now is holding everything that matters. Nothing will ever separate them again.